Hello and welcome once again on this Monday afternoon for Here's Some Monday Manners with me. My name's Simon Williamson and I'm here from Unported Design, so thank you for joining me. It's a bit rainy today, isn't it? So I did actually paddle in on my boat. It's nice to see so many people join us today though on Valentine's Day. I'll see, first of all, say a quick hello to all these people. So we've got Anon and Sarah, Irene, David, Janet, Tracy, Roxy Lee. There's loads on. I thought you'd all be busy with it being Valentine's Day. But thank you very much for joining me. If you don't know already as well, you can be kept informed of any notifications of these shows going live. Just tick the notifications on Facebook or YouTube and you'll be kept, all the information will come to you. You'll be the first to know, which is what it's all about, isn't it? So we've got a busy week today. We've got loads of things happening here in the studio as well. So I'll first of all tell you about what's coming up this week. First of all, tonight at 6 o'clock, we've got a Marla with the lovely Carly Duff. So that's on Crate and Craft. So definitely tune in for that. She's got some wonderful products. And I'm sure you'll all give us some support on that. And then tonight at 8 o'clock or 3 o'clock PM on America, we've got the HSN Save the Date 1st of March show. And that's when Tony's going to be drawing the winner of that fantastic prize. I don't know if you saw it the other day. There's this prize here where you get all this lovely goodness of stuff. You've got a 3-inch cutting machine, 6-inch, 2 paper trimmers, and all those punch sets there as well. So that'd set anybody's craft room up, wouldn't it? I think that's worth about $150 as well. So definitely worth tuning in to see who has won that one as well. And if you want to take part, you can find the details on the Stamps by Me USA webpage. So, hello, let's get started. So I thought I'd mix it up this week, and I thought we'd have a demo of the owls for a change. So some of you may have already got these, might give you a bit of inspiration to get them back out. But let's start with these. So the first one I've got for you is just a really nice card, which is going to show you how to use that resist technique and get them lovely colours in there as well. So I'll just leave that there for you a second. So you can see that you've got a nice graduation between the blue and the green there, and it's just a really simple card, and you could choose any 2 colours to make this work. So let's have a go at doing this card for you. So the first thing I've done is I've cut out a panel. Now I'm going to use a bit of textured cardstock for this one, just because I really like the effect it gives you on this kind of background. It kind of picks out the pigment a little bit more rustic. You can see on there. So that's what I've already done to start with. So let's bring up the stamping platform. If anyone's got any questions as we go, just pop QQQ at the beginning. I can pick them out a bit easier. So I've got our lovely tree stamp from our owl collection. I'm going to put that towards the top of this one. I'm not bothered if it overhangs a little bit at the side. I just want to make sure it goes level with the top of that piece of card. And we'll get that picked up. Nice firm press, open that up. Before I forget, I'm going to rub this with the anti-static bag. And I brought my embossing ink pad. And I've got a tinted one here. I just think it shows you a little bit better where you've stamped. But if you're confident with a clear one, you go with what's in your stash. Give that a good push down. Get all that detail. And I'm just going to do it one more time just so I can make sure I get all those tree foliage bits in at the top. And with it being a slight textured paper as well, it just helps it get a good impression. So that's my first layer. And I don't know how you do this at home, but I tend to put the embossing powder on as I go, and then that way I don't knock my ink off and make sure it's still sticky that way. So we're just going to put some white embossing powder onto this now. Really cover it, so we're not going to waste any of this. It's all going back in the container. And then if I just shake this off, you can see a little tap. We've got those lovely trees there ready. So I'm going to repeat the same stage now, but the other way around. So let's pop that way. I'm trying to be careful as well so I don't knock it off. And I'll just put that back into my container. A little magnet in there. And then let's line this up the other way now. Towards the top. That's perfect. I'll just pick that up. Same as before, just give it a quick rub so it doesn't stick to those areas we don't want it to stick to. And give that a nice firm press down to get that detail at the top. Some people do all the ink work first, then put the powder on, but I just think with it being a hotter environment, I don't want it to dry up that ink. Give that a good push down. That's perfect. So just bring that back out. Bring in my paper again. And we're just going to put some of that white embossing powder back on. Just make sure we get all that detail. And then give that a bit of a tap off. You can see, I don't think you can see on the camera, but we've got them trees just now. It's quite hard to see because it's white on white. So that's the background part. So I'm now going to just bring in my heat gun and get that activated. So I'll just move this loose powder out of the way. With my stamp. There we go. Just trying to be careful while I hold this, so let's just get this heated up now. It goes quite fast as well, so I've used a thinner cardstock, so a bit of a tip there if you wanted to do this at home. The thinner, it'll just go a bit faster for you. Just make sure we've got all these changed. So I think Carly Duff as well, she's just in a show now, or she's just been on. Did anybody catch that show? Let's do this last bit of detail on this side. Swing it around, and we'll do the same for the opposite side. It's mesmerising, isn't it, when you watch it? And it allows you to be really subtle as well with your inks then, because that white's going to resist whatever colour you put on, and however deep you want to put it on. So that's my back panel made, so that's lovely. So what I'm going to do is we'll get some colour onto this piece, and then we'll do the topper for it in a second. So I'm just going to get a piece of blank paper. I've chose these colours because I really like these together. So I've got the Isaac dye ink pads again, and I've got the Mer de Sud, the Emerald, which I think is emerald, and then the Vervain. So we've got three colours here. We've got the light, the dark green, that's going to give us foliage for the trees, and then we've got the blue for the skyline. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to bring in this Vervain colour and just mix it from the edge over where I think the foliage would be on the tree. You can bring it down, low as you want to go, they are trees. So you might find that on some areas you go a bit lower. I thought about this as well today. It would have been really nice to put little flowers on this, like a blossom tree. So just mixing that down. And I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to do the exact same side for this side. Lower, different heights. Take it down where you want it. And I'm not being too precise about pressure. I just want to get a bit of that colour on where I think the tree line would be on this piece of card. Okay, so that's the lighter colour. So then I've got some of this darker green. So I'm going to tap some off. I'm just going to bring some of that in as well, just to give it a little bit more depth. I'm still going to leave that kind of lighter green at the bottom, just so it breaks it up a little bit. Really makes all those little details pop that have been embossed onto it as well. Soften that in a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to add that darker green to this other side now. So from the top, pulling it down. Well, I nearly did it in blue then, I don't know. There you go. And then just go a little bit darker towards the top. Give it a little bit more tone. There you go. So you've got almost like your really kind of dreamy kind of tree line with all your foliage going on. So now we're going to get some blue into the centre point now. So same technique. I'm just going to get this blue. I'm going to start from the centre. A bit of green there, but I'll not worry. Well, so I'll start at the centre point. And I'm just going to mix that going upwards now to make it softer. I've definitely got a bit of green in there, haven't I? There we go. I'm just going to change my... I've got a spare dab here, so I'm going to see if I can get some more blue on there. There we go. I'm just going to mix that up to a tree line, just softening it out. I don't want to go over the yellow, but I want to go up to it so there's enough colour in there. Just mixing that as well. I'm just going to push that towards them trees. And just soften that last bit of white out there so we've got a nice crisp bit of colour. I quite like that, if I just hold that up for you. It's actually worked quite well, the green in the middle. So it almost looks like the fields in the middle as well, and it goes into a skyline and then into your treetops. So it's just a really nice, colourful way of doing that. So that's our back part done. So let's get that mounted onto our card blank so we know that that can be gluing. So, but since it's on glitter, I'm going to use a bit of wet glue. I've got a nice teal green as well, so that it really complemented these colours well. I'm sure we've all got some nice glitter cards in this stash, I've got to say. I'm just going to push that down. And then put a little bit more glue on the back. And let's get that mounted on our card blank. So I've cut this one a little bit bigger on my card blank just so I can get a nice border really. Give that a good push down. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that to one side to be adhering. Just use that just a second just to weigh it down. And that'll be working on the middle part now, the panel. So we're going to use a similar technique for the panel, but what I need to do is I need to mask out the areas where we're going to put our friendly little owl. So if I bring in a piece of card, I'll show you what I'm going to be doing. So we've got our owl to go at the top, and we've got our lovely sentiment there, I'll be there for you. So position those where you want them on your card. Make sure that magnet's going to hold in place. Pick those up. Give that an anti-static rub. Whoop. Let's get that stamped on. So it's a really good card, this as well, and it doesn't mean that you've got to get all your craft things out. The colours make it pop. So I'm just going to push that down. Give that one more go. Let's get some embossing powder on that as well. Keeping it all simple so it's all white and it really pops out with the colours then when we enhance it. And there you go. I'm just going to move that powder out of the way. Let's bring the heat gun back in. I'll activate this. So we're going to change the main character first, and then we're going to do a little bit more stamping on top. I'm going to show you how to mask off these areas. You could always colour them if you want to, but I just thought it really worked well with this white. And then doing a vibrant colour over the top. Okay, so that's our main character done. So let's bring that back into our stamping folder. And what I need to do now is I need to stamp out some kind of like covers just for these owls and the sentiment. And the best way to do that is if I just get this blue one, just so I know roughly the size I want. Don't have to be exact, I just want to give myself enough space so I can put this down. I'm just going to give it a really wide border around it, really. And you'll see why in a second. So that's going to go over our lovely little owl up there. And then I've got the sentiment. Do exactly the same. Stamp that up there. And then we're just going to cut around this as well, giving it a slight border. It just helps mask this sentiment so we don't get lost with what I'm going to do next. Just going to cut that a little bit more level. And we can pop that down. Try my hardest here not to get the blue ink on the white card. And then what I do as well is I've got some of these extra sticky notes. I'm just going to hold it in place down the centre line. And do the same with that one. And that's going to protect half of the card while we just get some detail on this. I'm going to bring back in our lovely trees. Let's move that up a little bit. I want to put this down so it's covering this half of the card. So same as we did before, right up to the edge. And then we're not going to contaminate his images because we've already zoned those off. Push that down. Give that a good ink in. Just take that bit out a second. I'm just going to get my heat tool in to activate that side. Just trying that bit of ink off as I got it all over the edge. Here we go. Just putting that powder back on. Tap that off. You can see then, when I lift these off, we're not going to have embossing powder anywhere near a sentiment we've already done. So let's get that activated. And if little bits come off it, it really doesn't matter because there's loads of detail in there anyway. Just get that bit done down that side. And then I can pop this back in. I've already got my little sticky bits that I've made, so we can put that back over the sentiment. We can put that back over our owl. And then we're going to mask from the opposite side. So let's get that into there. That over there. And that just down there. Hold that in place. I'm going to reverse this round to this side now. Give that a good push down. Just thinking the top half of this really, because I know it won't reach the full way across. Push that down. And then I can bring that out. Bring my powder back in. Just give that a good shake over those areas. Tap that off. And I'm going to just clear my station down before I activate that last bit. Ooh. Just pop that over there. So it's a little bit fiddly at first, but once you get used to this, it's a really good way of getting your sentiment to pop. So I'm just going to change this last little bit on here. And because it's that thinner card as well, it's changing really fast. There we go. Right, so now we're going to bring in those colours that we used before. So similar kind of technique. We're going to start with the lighter one first. Just grab the lighter one. Just take that from the edge. Just to give the same kind of colours that we used on the main card, it just brings that back in. Always turn it as well, which is the best way for you to work. You can see it's like almost giving a halo around those sentiments now. A bit more of that. Going with that slightly deeper colour, just on certain points. Just to break that up a bit. Just down these sides. And I'm going to use the blue now to bring out our main little character. So I'm going to put the most of the pigment in the centre. And it really makes our little friendly owl pop. And then soften that off around. And we'll do the same with the sentiment. So concentrate the colour over the words. And then just soften it off. You can push down a bit more if you wanted to stick out a bit more. There you go. If I hold that up for you now, you can see it just makes these sentiments pop out using just that additional colour, really. It just gives you a nice kind of depthly topper without printing in black all the time. So let's get this mounted onto our card now. So I've got the same glitter card I had before for the other background. I'm just going to mount this onto there. Give that a good push down. And I think because we want a bit of height to this card now, let's get some foam pads on the back of that. Make sure it's really well supported. Bring it back in our card blank that we made earlier. And you could go for this in the centre if you wanted to, but I thought it looked quite quirky just going off centre a little bit, to be honest with you. So let's do that again on this one. Got a good push down. And I just think that's a really nice card. And there's some really nice techniques in there. And it kind of gives it a bit of a mystical background, doesn't it? With all those colours going through there, the dark to the light, and then the kind of skyline. So May said this is so cute and lovely. Oh, thank you. It takes a little bit with the white embossing, so apologise if that took a bit too long. I hope you didn't fall asleep. But you could always get a biscuit, can't you, in that bit? Oh, I say Elizabeth said she's had a plumbing emergency. Well, I hope it's okay there. I hope it's all right. So what we're going to do now is going to give you some inspiration from the Have a Go collection while we're set up for the next demonstration. And now I'm sure you'll like the next one once it involves a bit of food stuff. A nice big donut on the next one. So if you want to see how we make that one, I'll see you in a couple of minutes when you watch this inspirational video. See you in a second. Bye-bye. and welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that little video there. So I'm just looking at your comments. So Irene says, mirror image of the trees is what could be water. It is as well, and you know that background as well, you don't need to put an owl on it. I think it's quite a tranquil one. So maybe if you've got some like silhouette stamps in your own stash, maybe a boat would look really nice, like it's reflecting in the water. So I'm glad you enjoyed that one anyway. So my next one, I had fun with this one, I've got to say. I think I must have been feeling hungry, but I thought, let's make a big donut on a card. Seeing that this has got a lovely background stamp in the owl collection. That has all of those buns and sweet treats in there. So I just had a bit of fun with this one. So I thought I'd show you how I made this one. So let's get started. So it starts off with a red 10th fold card, which I've already cut down a little bit to size. And I've just cut some more card that's just got a slight border around there. So I'm going to be working on this white panel first of all. So let's bring up the stamping platform. I'm doing very well today. I've not got marks on this white cardstock. I've got to say I'm doing well. So I'm using this one, which is a really nice big stamp that's in the owl collection. And it's one of these stamps as well that you can continue to make it wider as you want to. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get this put down, just overlapped off that side. Make sure we've got the detail where we want it. Give that a good push down, so we don't want that to fall off a stamping platform halfway. I've gone for VersaFine Black just so we get a really nice crisp image. Let's get that pushed down. Let's have a look. Just a little bit of mist there in that corner. Right, so now I need to line these up. So the pattern itself continues, and with being a silicone stamp, you can see it from the back. So if I put this in place, I should be able to just put that down next to the other image, and you can probably see through the stamp, it continues through, and that's the good way of lining it up then. And then this gives you the possibility of making it as big as you want the project, and these stamps also line up the other way as well. So if you want to do a big A4 card or an A5x7, it lends itself to that brilliantly. So let's get that picked up. Give that a good push down as well. I don't think I did bad there. Just got a slight little gap there, and that's just mainly because I'd normally put my head right over it, and I didn't want to. I'm sure you don't want to see my barnet in here. So let's put this way now, with my magnet up here. And we'll do the exact same again. Let's just line that up over where we need to be. And pick that up there. Get some ink on there. It's a good tip if you've got a stamping platform as well. It allows you to put your card outside. It'll not damage your print, but it'll mean that you can go a little bit longer with your cardstock. So let's get that all done. Push that down. There you go. We've got a nice big panel now of all those like sweet treats. Nice, you know what I mean? Easy to line up. You get all that detail on there, and then you can use that for any projects that you want to use. But it's really good, and the fact that these designs have been used to continue in any direction really does give you a great card. And the other stamps in the collection as well, there's a coffee bean one that does exactly the same. So I'll just move that to one side. So let's get that to this side. I'm just going to get my red card blank, and I'm just going to get this glued into place so it can be drying while we get our toppers made. Just really simple, just make sure we've got that border all the way around that I've allowed. Give that a good push down. And what a brilliant start to a card blank. So let's just get that, in fact, just give me 2 seconds. So just notice it's upside down. We don't Australian buns. There we go. Get that pushed down. There you go. It'll stand up the right way now. So let's put that to one side while we make the actual toppers now. So we're going to make this donut kind of shape here. A really simple one to do, and all you need to do for this is get some of your nesting dies out, your circles. So I've got a large one, and I've got the smaller one, and that's going to be the hole in the middle. And all we're going to do is cut out 2 of these, one in this yellow colour and one in a white, just so we can actually play around with it instead. So let's get some cardstock up. And I'm just going to get the cutting plates ready. So go for the yellow one first. I'm going to put the texture side up so we've got a bit more detail. Put that dead in the centre where you want your donut to be. And don't worry if it's a little bit wonky, because donuts, they're handmade, aren't they? They don't have to be perfect. So I'm just going to just secure that down where I want it. If you make sure the tape covers both metal dies as well, should mean that you can lift it up for the second cut and it's all in the same position. So I'm just going to put a little bit more tape onto all of these. There we go. Should be all right with that. Just make sure those are on the metal parts. And let's pop that through the die cut. Elizabeth says she needs a donut now. That's not my fault. This one's diet friendly. No calories in my donuts, I tell you. Susan's salivating. Wait till we put his icing on, Susan. You wait. Tracy says she's got a bakewell tart. Oh, I've got a list now of things I'm going to have to try and make in paper, haven't I? Ooh, just pull that off. So I'm just going to just take this tape back. I don't want to rip my card, so I'm just going to be a little bit careful with that. I just want to get the ring part out. Ooh. It's a little bit sticky, my tape, so just bear with me while I just try and get this out without damaging it. There we go. Last bit. There you go. So I've got our lovely donut ring. I'm just going to go straight back in where I've got the actual die plates out. I'm going to cut one in white as well. So if I'm careful with this, I should be able to keep that hole where we put it on the last one. There we go. Onto that side. We'll just pop that through again. Begging bowl for donuts is that. I've got a chocolate muffin but unable to reach it. Susan, it's worth the stretch, isn't it, love? For a chocolate muffin, stretch a bit further. So that's my yellow one cut. I'm just going to get my white one. Here we go. So let's just get this removed. I'm just going to pull the tape from this side, actually, so I don't need them circles to stay intact anymore in that pattern, so I can take up the sides that are easiest. Just pull that a little bit more. There we go. And then we've got a white and a yellow. So let's just move that out of the way. So this is going to be the base of our donut. So the first thing I'm going to do is give it a little bit of depth in colour. I'm going to use that just using a little bit of the yellowy orange colour. I don't know how you say that one. Cire, C-I-R-E. I'm going to have to practice my French answer for these, I've got to say. Just get my blending brush. And I'm just going to use this to darken these edges a little bit and just gives it a little bit more depth. So just pulling that in from the edge, all the way around. Just gives it a little bit more depth, doesn't it? Like it's almost curved on the edge as well. It's quite a subtle colour as well. So if you want to go dark, you could do. And you can make your donuts whatever colour you like as well. You don't have to be yellow. So just round this edge bit. Not bothered about the middle bit, just going to be covering that edge up in a second. There you go. It just gives a little bit of gradation to them edges. You can see it makes it a bit darker. So it almost looks like it's rounding off a little bit. So good way of doing it. Okay, so that's just a little bit of that ink just to give it a bit more definition. And then we've got our lovely white layer now. So what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to get some scissors. We know that this is the circle of his donut, so we just need to make this a nice in shape. So don't make it too uniform. Go in with your scissors and make it as wobbly as you want. And we're just going to freehand this and make it like it's got wobbly icing on. So it does remind me of a fried egg at this stage, I've got to be honest. There you go, so we've got nice bits of ice in there. I'm just going to get a piece of paper as well. Just going to get a bit messy in a second. So I've got my nice light icing layer there. I'm going to use some of this icing texture spray, and this has got the little beads in it as well. So it gives you a nice bit of texture that looks like icing when it goes off. So I don't know if you can see it on there, but it's all in there. And I'll show you how I apply this. So I always put a piece of paper down anyway, but put a little bit of bowl of it next to it. You can always add more. And I'm just going to put this on and use this little tool to spread that out and get those beads all over. And I find this is the best way of doing this technique because just a flat piece of card doesn't really give that kind of icing effect. If you haven't got this in your stash though, maybe glossy accents would be a good one to try. I'm just going to push that around, make sure those beads are all over. I'm trying not to make it too smooth because I like the definition. There we go, that's our icing layer. Just get rid of this in the centre. And if you miss any bits, don't worry, because we're using white card underneath so it won't shine through. So I'm just going to pull that to... Let's get another piece, sorry. Don't want to get the yellow on it. So we've got our little icing layer there. And then I had a stroke of genius. Some of you might have already got this die, but this is a sprinkle die that is in the Have a Go collection. I kept all the little bits that it cuts out because I thought they'd make brilliant sprinkles to go on top of his actual donut. So all these little long bits like sugar strands and the little stars and the circles, I've got a bag full here in all different red colours. So I'm just going to tip those on. We're going to, so to speak, we're going to ice his donut and decorate it. So we're just going to sprinkle some of those on all the way around. Brought quite a few so we can put more on. There you go. Loving that. And then we just need to get this to set now. So if you use the heat gun, it kind of bubbles this a little bit, this texture paste. I'm just going to hold it down. But when I do this at home, in fact, I'm just going to, let me just get rid of the loose bits or else they're going to go everywhere and Tony will have a go, won't they? So, here we go. So I'll hold it down a little bit on the corner and just get some heat onto there. Those little red bits will stick to the wet glue that we've left. So as we heat it up, you'll see it when it starts to bubble. There you go, it's just starting to go now, look. And you could just let this dry naturally, but obviously it's just showing you that if you want to try and finish this on a project, you can speed it up a little bit with a heat gun. And the heat as well, I just think it just grabs those little bits of card we put on, those little sprinkles. Just get this other side done. If you get the big bubbles anyway, don't worry, but you can push them down afterwards. Just make sure I've got all of this done. There we go. And that's created our layer now that we can put on top of our donut. You can see it just looks like icing. It's got all that texture and then beads in there as well. I just thought it was a really good way using these projects that we all buy and we don't know what to do. And it's like, it's all dry now. It's not going to come off, which is brilliant. So let's get that glued on top of our donut. Going to use wet glue. And if I were at home, I'd probably put a bit of a weight on this just to make sure it lines up. But let's just get that on there for now. There we go. And there you go, and that's our donut. So you can see we've got a really nice paper donut there with sprinkles on, icing. It's glossy where it's iced as well, so it just gives you a little bit of detail. I think it's just a fun shape to make. So we'll just leave that to one side where that glue just sticks it to there. We're going to continue now with his card. So we need his characters, don't we? So we've got our big owl on this one, a little owl, and we've got our sentiment, which is love is all you need. So let's get them stamped out. I love these owls. I love their expressions in the faces, I've got to say. I'm just going to go for black on this because I think keeping these black and red tones is really good for this card. You'll all be keeping your little strand bits now out your die, won't you, for doing this? Make sure I've got all that. So I'm just going to do another. It's my ink pad, it's drying up a bit. Add some hammer though, hasn't it? There we go, I'm happy with that. So I've got all our sentiments and our owls printed out. Just take that down. So the first thing I need to do is just cut our owls out. So we're not going to add more colour to these, I want to keep it quite simple. I'm going to show you a good way of tying it back in with your card. Let me just move that bit out. So let's bring in the outer dies for these little characters. That's that one. Really easy to line up as well. It's important when I put these together that there were no shapes that were confusing, so let's line that one up over there. A little bit of tape on there, just to hold it in position. And then we'll just pop that through. Just put a little bit of glue under there, it's just coming up. I bet you never thought on this Monday afternoon you'd be learning how to do a paper donut, did you? So Susan says she loves all the stamps and die sets. I've not got the fish yet. Oh, well, that's swimming, isn't it? You know what I mean? That could be your next, your purchase. I love the fish. I love the big lips. I think they're really comical. So we've got our owls. I'm going to use this piece in a second to get the sentiment out. So let's just put that over there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to tie this in with my card, and I thought the best way to do is give it a red edge like I've done on this card here. But I don't want to fussy cut all the way around the image, so I found a really quick way of doing this. It's just using a red alcohol marker. So I'll show you on these, look. So all we're going to do is just colour up to the image. It's really fast as well. But this way you could make it pop on any card slot you put it onto. You just need a coordinating pen. There we go, we just keep turning it around. She might like to fussy cut, but I know some people like it a little bit easier. And I think this is a good way of getting definition without all the hard work extra on there. Round its little feet. Round its wing. That's that one. We'll do the same for this one. So I'm just going to go around its hat. And how easy this was, we've all got felt tips, haven't we, or markers in a stash. Just round this side. Just this side of its hat. I'm not going to bother going around the book, so we're going to glue that in a second. But what I'm going to just pick out is the two little coffee mugs that are on these images, was I think a little pop of red in the centre. It just lifts it even more. And why not? Because we've got a pen to do it, and it'll just add a little bit more detail to this card. A bit more fun. Leave that love out there, look. Very appropriate for Valentine's Day, isn't it? There we go. So that's our two owl characters. So we'll just keep them to one side. And then now we need to get a sentiment. So I think I showed you this last week if you tuned in, but we're just going to chop into this and make it a little bit more quirky. So all I'm going to do is cut through each line. Doesn't have to be particularly straight. There you go. So we've got the owl. So let's just chop into that a bit more. And then we've got love is. So I'm just separating them words a little bit. Then we can... This is when I try not to breathe heavy in case they go flying. How many times have you done that at home when you've lost the sentiment you need? We just give them a bit more shape. We can... There we go. So we've got our sentiment spread out a bit more. And I just need to map them on a little bit of red card, which I think I forgot to bring, so I do apologise. We'll see what we can get out of this. There's always a way, isn't there? So let's get these stuck onto red. And I'm not really too fussy where they go. Let's just get them on there. Then we can trim them down after. That's those three. Just get a little bit more of this red card. It's a good way of using your scraps up as well. And then I need some for the big owl part, so we might have to... let's see if I've got a piece big enough for this. Okay. This is what I'm like at home. I make a cut and then I'm like, oh, I've done that a bit wrong. I think I can get away with that. I just leave myself enough border covering up them sprinkles. And I'm just going to go back in with my scissors, now that we've got those glued down, and just give them a bit of a red border. And this is where I say it doesn't matter if they're a little bit wobbly, wonky, a little bit more unique. And just same with these, we're just trimming all these down now. Can you think about designing toys for children, like trucks, cars, tractors, buses for boys, girls, prams, cars? I will have a think about that. Anybody's got any ideas, always drop me a message. It's really nice to see what kind of things you don't think are out there in the market. Just chopping these last few out. And the big owl, which I think I've just got away with. Just jump, there we go. Let's get those bits out of the way. And now we're going to assemble this card now, bring it all together. So let's get those bits on the floor. So the first thing first is we've got our big donut, and I want to make sure that that's got enough space to shine. So I'm going to put that over there. So let's get that on some foam pads ready. And then in our donut, we're going to put our little character so it's peeping through at the bottom layer, look. So let's get a bit of wet glue on that. And you can be just down there towards the bottom. Get those. Here we go. So where do we want them? Do you want them a little bit wonky or straight up? Let's, I think, a bit of an angle on this one. Popper's donut ring down. And we'll have that main character at the bottom there. So put all your little characters in place and then you can lay out your sentiments, see where you need to be. So we've got love is all you need. So let's get a little bit of glue on these smaller ones. And don't worry if they're a little bit wobbly or out of sync. And if you've got any like join lines when you've done your stamping, good idea to put these to cover those. And I think we'll put the owl on a pad as well, just to raise it up. Ooh, nearly upside down there. And here we go. How's that for a bit of a different looking card? Something brilliant to do with kids as well, and you could set up a production line for all these donuts, all different toppings and icings. And you cannot, incidentally, you can change the colour of this as well if you want to put some icing spray into it, so you can make any colour icing you want to for your donut. So I hope you've enjoyed that one. I'll just bring in the other one. That just shows you both side by side, our two cards from today. Ooh, you can see them both there. So just some fun techniques really, and it just gets the owl stash back out as well. So I'm sure some of you already got those owl stamps, and it's nice to have a bit of inspiration sometime, isn't it? But two different techniques there. I love the blending one. I think it's so subtle, but I love how these kind of colours graduate through there. Really just make a simple card really stand out. So don't forget anyway, rest of today. So you've got Amala at 6 o'clock tonight with Carly Duff on Create and Craft. Definitely worth a look in that, see all the new goodies on there. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, you've got Tony on the HSN Save the Date 1st of March show, competition winner. So she'll be popping on to tell you who wins that amazing prize. Somebody in America is going to be very well kitted out, aren't they, in the craft room. And then tomorrow's Technique Tuesday with Tony Derrick in the studio at 1 o'clock. So hopefully there's a show there you can tune in for and some more inspiration for you, which is what it's all about, isn't it? So thank you very much for joining me today, and I'll see you next Monday at the same time. See you later. Bye-bye.